Okay, we have a set of Powertrick Sport Street coilovers, and we're going to illustrate the proper use of using the helper spring. Basically, the helper spring is designed to take up any slack in between the spring and affect that you're going to do a super low installation. What we mean by super low is when you've exhausted the depth of the mounting cup as far as the ride height. This is the proper way to adjust the ride height. But if you have these on the car, you've screwed in the bottom perches all the way until they bottom out. As you can see, this is completely screwed in, so now what we've done is we've exhausted just how far we can lower the ride height of the vehicle without any other adjustments. If that's not enough, some do desire a lower ride height. The only way to get a lower ride height would be to what we call drooping the spring, or moving the spring lower on the threaded perch. Now, doing that, hypothetically, if we wanted to do almost about an inch drop, so we'll estimate that's about an inch drop, we can move the spring down about an inch, and this will give the consumer the desired extra inch drop that he's looking for. But now what's happened is we've rendered the actual spring assembly loose, and this is not a good setup. And the reason why is because if the suspension ever does unload, then you have a loose spring in the system, and this is never a good thing. This is the reason why we use the helper spring or the tender spring to take up the excess gap. And as you can see, the tender spring is very soft. It has a very low compression rate. That's what we're going to use to take up the slack and still achieve our lowered ride height and still have a safe assembly. And we'll go ahead and do that now by removing the top perch. As you can see, the helper spring is approximately 2 inches, so you can gain an extra 2 inches of drop. If you don't want that extra 2 inches, then you have to manually compress that helper spring in the system to the desired ride height. And now, as you can see, that helper spring is compressed almost down to about an inch, and we've now have this set up an inch lower than what was physically possible before. Now, what tends to happen sometimes when you do this and you want to go lower is now you're effectively limiting the actual compression stroke of the strut, and in some instances some feel that the ride is too bumpy, and what's happening is because you've eliminated about an inch of strut travel, then it's basically bottoming out on the bump stop that's underneath this dust boot. So to fix that, we can gain that extra inch of travel by cutting the bump stop. To do that, you'd have to remove this assembly, which we'll do now. Underneath, as you can see, here's the bump stop. The bump stop's about 1.5 inches. You can actually gain, if you're using that helper spring, because you're losing about that inch of compression travel, you can remove the bump stop and you can cut the bump stop. You can cut it down all the way. As you can see, it's serrated, so you can cut the bump stop down almost to just this one little bump, so that way it doesn't destroy the top if it does bottom out. But then, as you can see, you'll also get an additional inch of travel with the compression stroke of the strut, and that should eliminate it bottoming out too soon with regular suspension travel. After you do cut that bump stop, then you can go ahead and reinstall the system. And there you have the proper installation going super low with the helper spring.